crawl space, in the crawl space, at the rear, underneath the bathroom, there's been a good amount of modification to the structure. Basically, where they ran the floor drain through for the shower in there for the bathtub, they just cut through the floor joist.
Okay.
Like dead through the center of it.
Great.
Okay, so, and then what they did was on one, so you've got two pieces of the floor joist unsupported underneath the bathtub, which you're going to have some weight in there if you fill it up and,
Right.
So, but what they did is on the one side, closer to the center, they put a horizontal 2x6 under the joist, and then they put jack posts, which are just temporary support posts.
Right.
And even that was done, pretty poorly. So underneath it, they put cinder blocks. They put them in the wrong direction for support. One's kind of half hanging off with a piece of, wood under. I put photos of all this in the report, but there's 2 or 3 jack posts like that are. It definitely needs redone. So,
okay.
Yeah. And then the other side of the joist is unsupported altogether. It's just kind of hanging out there in midair now because it's been cut in half.
Okay.
Yeah, so some structured things there to address in the crawl space. Otherwise, the crawl space looked pretty good. There's some debris down there where they've done new plumbing, but foundation, what I can see of that looks good. We're pretty dry down there. So yeah, that's kind of the big smoking gun is the modifications.
Okay, but fixable.
Space. Yeah, I mean, just about anything's fixable, but I would address it.
Sure.
And then, likewise, I'm not as worried about this one, but in the attic, so originally this would have been, a wall here, and they've knocked it out and they've modified it. And then to support this opening, they basically took 2x4s and just ran them up to the trusses and screwed them in with a couple deck screws.
Okay.
Okay, so you at least want to get some sort of engineering paperwork on that. You can do this if you put a proper header, above the opening, but
sure.
It doesn't look like there's a header there.
Okay.
So it's beyond me to qualify that whether it's an appropriate modification or not.
Okay.
So those are the 2 big things. Other than that, it's kind of odds and ends.
Yeah, outlets are ungrounded.
Yeah, well, this is okay if these are original. I do note it that, hey, you've got ungrounded receptacles, but, the problem occurs when you put 3-prong receptacles there and then you don't have the supporting wiring. So that's actually okay, and the ones that are 3-prong actually are grounded, so we're okay there.
Okay, great.
Yeah, one thing I did have, a couple things in the kitchen. So your hood above the stove, a couple things. Number one, you've got a gas stove. It looks like it may vent to the outside, but it actually doesn't. It just recirculates out the vent there. So with a gas stove, it should be vented to the exterior. The second problem is the power for this is actually inside the vent.
Huh.
So they ran...
Oh, I see.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
So, you've got grease filters here, but you've got a lot of, you're cooking, you got your pot of potatoes here, and all the steam running through there, and there's a receptacle dead center inside of the unit.
Yep.
Right, so you can't do that. That's a bad idea.
Okay. Could you replace it with a GFCI?
No, you don't want to have any receptacle inside the ductwork at all.
Okay, fair.
Moisture and grease and all that, so... they should have ran a junction box in the attic. I don't know why they didn't. I mean, most of the other wiring looks fine, so it's kind of an odd thing to find. But
okay.
So that could cause a problem down the road. Let's see here. What else do we have? Other than that, it's been fairly minor stuff. Okay. So a couple things in the utility closet here.
Sure.
We've got a very small leak here at the connection on the water heater. I wouldn't call it a leak, it's more seeping where this is corroded.
Okay.
On the water heater, so we need to get that fixed. Couple other odds and ends, drain pan's not capped off, that's easy. One thing is we got to think about combustion air for this closet with these appliances here, natural draft gas water heater, gas furnace. Now they actually did bring in combustion air into the furnace directly with a pipe over here. There's a flex duct.
Okay.
It actually goes out through the roof, and you can see it goes right into the furnace, like you would see like in a high efficiency unit where they bring air into the unit.
Sure.
So you've got combustion air for this, but not really for this. So what happens is when you close this all up, you know, is it getting enough air? If it doesn't, you can end up with some backdrafting. You know, a lot of times in these utility closets, you'll see a high pipe and a low pipe. So you'll see a pipe up here that's letting air into the closet from the attic, and then a secondary pipe that goes down towards the floor, and it allows for, you know, adequate combustion air there.
Okay, one thing I've seen too is, you know, just like a hole on the door or a hole like in the wall somewhere, and then they put a vent on it, like a you know, like a grate.
Yep, that would work as well. So you're absolutely right. Sometimes they'll put a vent in the top and bottom of the door, or another easy solution is put louvered doors on here with the slats, and
Sure.
that'll let plenty of airflow there. So,
Okay.
yeah. So everything's functioning fine, operating fine. I believe we had 8 years on that, 23 years on the furnace, so getting up there in age on that.
Okay. All right. So some tweaks.
Yeah, other than that, we were in pretty good shape. A little bit of caulking here and there in the showers.
Okay.
So yeah, those are the highlights. So the big things are obviously the structural things in the crawl space.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Any exterior, or does that look pretty
The
good?
exterior's in pretty good shape. There's some loose trim around the windows, so looks like there's some 1x4 trim that they've capped with some aluminum. And it's loose, like in this corner. If you go outside, you can see a gap there on the outside of the window.
Okay.
A couple spots need tightened up, but that's really about it. Handful of other odds and ends. One of the crawl space vents on this side, on the rear left of the house, has been blocked off from down in the crawl. You want to get that opened up. So, yeah, the roof is a new roof, but it is a layover, FYI. So you've got a layer of shingles under that.
So maybe 10 years on it or something like that.
Probably more than that. They're dimensional, so typically you would 25 years, they call it 30 year, but 25 is more realistic. But when you do a layover, you're going to break down quicker, so you know, at least knock 5 years off of that. So,
Okay.
So you should be good. I mean, I don't know, 15 years or so. So
Okay.
maybe 20 years. You know, it's kind of hard to predict that, but the layover does have an effect on that. So.
All right.
Let's see, what else? In the attic, insulation was generally okay. The attic access door, wrote up a few things there. The hinges are about ready to fall off of it, kind of a contraption. A little unsafe.
I remember going up there. I took a look up there, and I was like, "Oh, come on, baby, hold together."
Yeah, the nuts are missing off the bolts of the hinge. You've got a return section of ductwork up there that originally had insulation around it, but just due to the age, it's all kind of fallen off, and they didn't re-insulate that. You want to re-insulate the duct. They did vent the bath vents out to the exterior. That's great. Didn't insulate around them. You really should. Not a huge deal, but at least they're vented out to the exterior.
Okay.
Yeah, just a few odds and ends like that. So.
All right. Yeah, I mean, generally, I'm impressed with the workmanship on this as being a flip. You know, I've seen worse flips.
You never know what you're going to run into for sure.
Yeah, they just made some like errors. You know. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, all the stuff as far as like interior and exterior is pretty much par for course. The windows have been fine. No issues with windows. No siding issues or anything like that. You know, you got a few things outside, like settlement. The steps kind of settled, the sidewalk settled. You're getting kind of a high step there. Of course, the patio you guys saw is all kind of cracked up. It just.
Okay. I have that at my house and it's limestone, so I don't know how I'm going to lift this thing up. But I was thinking about like jacking it up somehow, and then putting like spray foam underneath, letting it cure, and then.
Yeah,
does that work?
Yeah, you can lift it. I don't know if you can use like, you know, any kind of spray foam like that you would get at, you know,
yeah, like
Lowe's
great
or
stuff
Home Depot. Right, but there's companies that do it like A1 Concrete, and they'll use a foam to lift it up.
Okay.
So,
Huh.
But it kind of depends on what condition. Like if it's really a concrete slab that's really just beat up and cracked up, I mean,
right.
you're not gonna be able to lift it. So.
Yeah, mine's limestone, so it's all one good solid piece. It's just.
Oh, I gotcha.
You know.
How do you get that lifted? So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the highlights. So I'm sure there'll be a few other things in the report that I'm not thinking of right off the top of my head, but not too bad, but definitely the crawl space thing needs addressed.
Okay.
So
That's the number one deal?
yeah, and with the attic too, do they have any kind of blueprints on it, engineering paperwork on that?
Right.
Just because there was a wall here originally, it's been taken out.
Yeah, and that was load bearing. They just replaced.
Yeah, and now you're where they put in. I took pictures. You'll see they took all these 2x4s and basically attached them to the ceiling joist and up to the rafters. Now you're transferring load up to those rafters. It's like, well,
sure.
Is that okay or not okay?
And I mean, granted, it's not a 2-story house, so there's not exactly a whole lot of load up there, but still,
right. It
over
might be
time,
perfectly fine. But the other thought about that is, if even if it's perfectly fine, in 2 or 3 years' time they go to sell, it's going to get called out again. They're going to say, hey, who did this modification?
Right, or it may start to sag a little bit and separate a little bit. Yeah,
and if it's done right, it shouldn't. So usually I would see up there like a 2x12 header going across to kind of support that. I didn't see that exactly, so I would question that. So.
Well, cool beans.
Let me review real quick here and see what else, if there's anything else. Water heater issues there. Open knockout on the electric panel, nothing too crazy. Yeah, that was it. Also doing termite inspection. Haven't seen any active termites or damage or anything like that. I did see an old bait station out there. It looks like from a long time ago. It's all broken up. But haven't seen anything out in the garage and the house. We checked the shed as well, so we're okay there.
Okay.
Radon, just going to be setting that, I think, later today.
Should have results Monday, right?
I thought Monday, but Evelina called and said they might get results on Friday. So
Friday.
Try
Okay, great.
to get them Friday if we can.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
All right, well, cool. I appreciate your time, and thank you as always.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.